Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I want to try something a little bit different. We're going to be looking at a news article in English. I'm going to read through the article. You can listen to me reading, and then we're going to look at the article sentence by sentence, picking out some vocabulary. As you can see, I've already highlighted some important vocabulary. And I also want to focus on some aspects of pronunciation. Okay, at the bottom of the page here, I've got some definitions which we will use later on. So let's start. I'm going to read through the text. You can follow with me. Volcanic threat. Evacuation in Icelandic town. The town of Grindavik, home to around 4,000 people near Reykjavik, faces a potential volcanic eruption in the next few hours or days. Experts evacuated the town due to earthquakes caused by magma movement beneath the Earth's surface, indicating an imminent eruption. The head of Iceland's Civil Protection and Emergency Management expressed concern about potential damage to houses and infrastructure. Grindavik, situated southwest of Reykjavik, is close to a geothermal plant and a freshwater reservoir. The eruption could occur along a 15-kilometer fissure near the town. While a ground eruption is more likely, an underwater eruption is not ruled out, which could generate a significant ash cloud. The seismic activity has already damaged roads, buildings, and a golf course in Grindavik. Iceland declared a state of emergency, mandating the town's evacuation, with emergency shelters available in nearby towns. Okay, so a very serious situation in Iceland at the moment. Let's go through this sentence by sentence, and I'll try to pick out some interesting aspects of language. So, volcanic threat, evacuation in Icelandic town. First sentence, the town of Grindavik, home to around 4,000 people near Reykjavik, faces potential volcanic eruption in the next few hours or days. So here we have this extra information, extra detail about where Grindavik is and how many people live there. We could cut this out and the sentence would still make sense. The town of Grindavik faces potential volcanic eruption, but maybe people don't know where Grindavik is. So we have this extra information. When you're reading it, you will pause a little bit here and here, just where these commas are. And that helps to highlight that you're adding this extra detail. So the town of Grindavik, home to around 4,000 people near Reykjavik, faces a potential volcanic eruption. That pause helps to pick out this extra detail. So we have faces a potential volcanic eruption. Potential means it might happen. Okay, might happen. Okay, and volcanic is related to volcano. And eruption, this is the first highlighted word that we have. We go down here. Eruption, sudden bursting or release, especially of a volcano. Okay, so eruption, it's usually to do with some kind of liquid escaping suddenly from somewhere. There could be an eruption in a pipe, for example, that's carrying water. Here we're talking about a volcano. With volcanoes, the word eruption is always used, not explosion. Okay? Next sentence. Experts evacuated the town due to earthquakes caused by magma movement. So this is actually important. Those two words must go together. Magma movement. Okay, this is a compound noun. Next, beneath the Earth's surface, indicating an imminent eruption. So experts evacuated the town, removed or withdrew people to a safer place. So in this case, it means to leave an area because it is dangerous. Okay. Magma movement. What is magma? Magma is the liquid rock beneath the Earth's surface. Okay, I'm sure you've seen images, video of liquid rock flowing out from earthquakes. You can call that magma. Okay, indicating an imminent eruption. Nice collocation there, an imminent eruption. Imminent, we'll go down and find our definition. Imminent, about to happen or occurring soon. It's a little bit of a technical word, imminent. You wouldn't really use it in casual conversation, but in technical or scientific language, maybe in newspapers like this, the word imminent is very good. Okay. The head of Iceland's Civil Protection and Emergency Management. Now, this is a long term here. This seems to be part of the government. Okay, so civil protection is to do with protecting people, and emergency management. Iceland has a lot of volcanic energy, and earthquakes, volcanoes are quite common in that area. So having a section of the government that deals with civil protection and emergency management is very important. So the head, this would be the person in charge, the head of Iceland's civil protection and emergency management, expressed concern. So basically they said that they were worried, or explained that they were worried, and maybe the reason why they were worried about potential damage to houses and infrastructure. Infrastructure is another highlighted word here. Basic physical and organizational structures and systems. Now, this is things such as roads or bridges, okay? Maybe even tunnels. So, organizational structures and systems. In this case, we're talking about roads, bridges. Infrastructure could also be used for things like Wi-Fi, or not Wi-Fi, the internet connections or telephone lines. That's also part of infrastructure. But in this case, I think they're talking about roads, bridges, those kinds of things. Next sentence. Grindavik, situated southwest of Reykjavik. So again, this is extra detail. Is close to a geothermal plant. A geothermal plant. Now, this is nothing to do with roses or daisies. This kind of plant. This is like a nuclear power plant or a coal energy plant. But in Iceland, they have geothermal plants. So geo meaning the earth, as in geography, and thermal means heat. So this is heat from the ground. So they have the option to take energy from the ground in the form of geothermal energy. So Grindavik is close to a geothermal plant and a freshwater reservoir, reservoir. Okay, this word I believe comes from French. Reservoir is actually down here. Reservoir, a large or natural artificial lake used for water storage. Okay, so places where water is collected. When it rains heavily, a lot of water is stored in a reservoir and then it is sent to houses as fresh water. So freshwater reservoir. Okay. Next sentence. The eruption could could happen along a 15-kilometer fissure near the town. Fissure. Strange pronunciation and spelling. What is a fissure? A fissure near the town. A fissure is a long, narrow opening or crack, especially in the earth. Okay, so they're saying it's a crack or a narrow opening. And you can imagine there being maybe a crack in a piece of glass or a crack in a piece of wood, but you wouldn't really call those a fissure. Fissure is, again, quite a technical word, and in this case it says especially when it is in the earth. So in this context, we're talking about earthquakes, eruptions. A fissure would be this crack. Here we're talking about a long fissure, 15 kilometers long. So just understand a fissure is more than just a crack. It's a special type of crack usually found in the earth. Next, while a ground eruption is more likely, an underwater eruption is not ruled out. So ground eruption would be the magma coming out of the ground, and an underwater eruption is the magma going into the ocean, the bed of the ocean. Okay, now what they're saying here is if there is an underwater eruption, that could generate a significant ash cloud. Okay, I don't know if you remember a few years ago there was a volcano in Iceland which caused a lot of trouble for people who were traveling, trying to fly around Europe. And it was because of a very thick cloud of ash, which made transport very, very difficult, especially air transport. So a ground eruption could happen. An underwater eruption is possible. And if we have an underwater eruption, you can expect a large ash cloud to happen. Okay, two more sentences. The seismic activity, these words are often used together. The word seismic here, related to or caused by earthquakes. Seismic activity. So, for example, I live in Japan. Japan has a lot of seismic activity. There is a lot of movement and earthquakes happening in Japan. So you can say Japan has a lot of seismic activity. So the seismic activity has already damaged roads, buildings, and a golf course in Grindavik. Okay. Iceland declared a state of emergency, okay, mandating the town's evacuation with emergency shelters available in nearby towns. Now, this word declared, this is a word, it's quite formal, and only certain types of people can declare things. So, for example, the government could declare something. Maybe a business could declare something. So declare basically means to say officially. Okay, so a company might declare its profits for the year. Okay, and here we have Iceland declaring a state of emergency. So the state of emergency is a special situation in which certain rules are created. Okay, certain situations that will allow the country to function during a period where things are not operating properly or could be in trouble. So a state of emergency here is because of the earthquake. You could have a state of emergency for other reasons. During the pandemic, there was a state of emergency in some places as well. So Iceland declared a state of emergency, mandating this town's evacuation, the town being Grindavik. So mandating, this is an interesting word. Mandating, to mandate, means to officially order or require something. So Iceland declared a state of emergency, officially requiring, so mandating, officially requiring the town's evacuation. So people in the town had to evacuate. So we have evacuation, we had evacuated. So here we have evacuation as the noun. Okay. With emergency shelters available in nearby towns. Okay, so these are situations where people are not safe in their own home, so they can go to these emergency shelters where they can sleep. Maybe there's food available for them as well. So kind of temporary accommodation for people. Okay, so that is a detailed explanation of the language. Let's look at some pronunciation. Let me change my pen. The town of. Now this is something that I want you to understand, is when you have a word that ends in a consonant and the next word begins with a vowel, we can link those words together very easily. Okay, the town of, the town of Grindavik. Okay, the town of Grindavik, home to around 4,000 people near Reykjavik. You've got two R's together, near Reykjavik. Faces. So this second S is like a Z sound. Faces a potential volcanic eruption in the next few hours or days. Okay. Experts evacuated. I think you can link that together nicely. The town due to earthquakes caused by magma movement. That is quite a nice one to link together. Magma movement. Now, if you struggle with a phrase like this, magma movement, what I like to do is I start at the end and I go backwards. Okay? And I build up the pronunciation. So I would say meant. Just repeat, meant. Then we move on to movement. Okay? Movement. And then magma movement. Okay? Just kind of slowly build up your speed and your confidence with words that you're not sure about. But I find, as I said, starting at the end and then going backwards is a great way to build up your confidence. Beneath the Earth's surface, there's two S's, but you can say this as one S. You don't have to say the Earth's surface with a gap in the middle. You can just say the Earth's surface. Okay. Indicating an immediate. Again, we've got this situation of a consonant and a vowel, an immediate eruption. Okay, let's see. Right. The head of Iceland's civil protection and emergency management expressed concern about potential damage to houses. Now, this is, again, something that we will look at again and again, but the word to here can be said in a very short way. So I can say damage to houses, or I can say damage to houses, just a very, very soft and very short t sound. Damage to houses, and, it's like an Z, houses and infrastructure, Okay. Grindavik, situated southwest of Reykjavik, is close to a geothermal plant and a freshwater reservoir. The eruption could occur along. So again, we've got this consonant vowel pairing. So this is a really nice kind of long phrase that you can practice with. Could occur along. Okay, it sounds quite strange. Could occur along. A 15-kilometer fissure near the town. While ground, while. I know there's an E there, but the L sound is the last while. While a ground eruption is more likely. An underwater eruption is not ruled out. That's something I didn't pick out. Ruled out. What does this mean? Not ruled out means it could happen. It's a possibility. It's not ruled out. Okay, so that phrase, it's not ruled out, means it is still possible. Okay. Back to our pronunciation. Ruled out, which could generate. This is an interesting one. Could, the D, I like to say to my students, it's almost like could generate. So rather than could generate, we can say could generate. When you say it quickly, it sounds very natural. Which could generate a significant ash cloud. Okay, which could generate a significant ash cloud. Okay. The seismic activity has already damaged roads, buildings, and a golf course. This is a classic 1, 2, 3 list. So we go high, high, low. I'll read that for you again. The seismic activity has already damaged roads, buildings, and a golf course. Okay, So when we have a list of 3, the first 2 are high and the third one drops down. Iceland declared. Again, we've got 2 Ds here. You can just read it as 1D. Iceland declared a state of, the last sound here is T, so state of. Iceland declared a state of emergency, mandating the town's evacuation. Lots of Z sounds in this text. With emergency shelters available in nearby. So again, 2 N sounds become 1, in nearby towns. Okay. Let's take a look at all of this together now and see if you can follow it with me. The town of Grindavik, home to around 4,000 people near Reykjavik, faces a potential volcanic eruption in the next few hours or days. Experts evacuated the town due to earthquakes caused by magma movement beneath the Earth's surface, indicating an imminent eruption. The head of Iceland's Civil Protection and Emergency Management expressed concern about potential damage to houses and infrastructure. Grindavik, situated southwest of Reykjavik, is close to a geothermal plant and a freshwater reservoir. The eruption could occur along a 15-kilometer fissure near the town. While a ground eruption is more likely, an underwater eruption is not ruled out, which could generate a significant ash cloud. The seismic activity has already damaged roads, buildings, and a golf course in Grindavik. Iceland declared a state of emergency mandating the town's evacuation, with emergency shelters available in nearby towns. Okay, so I hope you were able to pick out the aspects of pronunciation that I looked through there. What I recommend is keep this on your screen, pause the video, and practice the reading as I have done it there, trying to pick out all the links and the little shortcuts that I have been listing. I think this is a nice article, some interesting vocabulary, and good luck. I think this kind of regular practice could really help you develop a little bit of confidence and allow you to learn a few extra skills in your pronunciation. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, share it with a friend, and I will see you in the next video.